Greetings world. We are anonymous. Documents obtained by former NSA contractor Edward Snowden and published on The Intercept show that NSA analysts monitored content on the Pirate Bay and used the agency's surveillance systems to track where it came from. The documents also show that the NSA's British partners at the GCHQ used X-Keyscore data as part of a surveillance program on sites that included WikiLeaks. That was part of a broader psychological profiling and targeting program to collect intelligence, influence individuals online, and disrupt groups like Anonymous that were considered threats. The new documents show that the GCHQ conducted broad real-time monitoring of social media activities, processing data on activities like watching YouTube videos and Facebook likes to profile, categorize, and target individuals for psychological operations. The NSA documents in the latest disclosure refer to monitoring for content that could be considered malicious foreign activity. But it is clear that the NSA also used its X-Keyscore surveillance to dig through traffic to the torrent sharing site, and it could very well have profiled foreign users of sites like WikiLeaks and monitored their access to that and other websites. However, the documents, one an internal NSA frequently asked questions wiki page, and the other, a set of GCHQ slides on psychological operations, do not provide a picture of how much information about people accessing WikiLeaks was shared between the GCHQ and the NSA. And while the documents point to NSA monitoring of the Pirate Bay, there is no suggestion of how the information gathered was used, or if it was used at all. A third, unpublished document shows that the Obama administration apparently encouraged foreign governments in 2010, including the UK, to pursue charges against WikiLeaks for the publication of diplomatic wires provided by Chelsea Manning, formerly known as Bradley Manning.
Now, sending out viruses, hijacking social media accounts, and attacking computer networks. Those may sound like hackers' techniques, but they're also in the arsenal of Britain's spies. According to leaks from Edward Snowden, RT's Polly Boyker takes apart the tactics being used by GCHQ.
The list of GCHQ's latest antics reads a bit like a cartoon villain's manual. Edward Snowden's revealed that a covert unit within the agency is messing with targets' social media accounts. So they're changing their profile pictures on Facebook, they're posting and deleting statuses, and they're sending cryptic messages to their friends and family containing disinformation about them. Now, GCHQ's Joint Intelligence Threat Research Group even uses unwitting journalists to funnel information about potential targets. And they're also into honey traps. They pose as attractive women online in order to get potential targets to meet with them in person.
I think what's unique in this area, it's the first public proof that we've seen that serious issues of illegality have been brought forward. The interference with other people's communications, the violation of the privacy of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. If the government knows everything about you, information is power, and then they have enormous power over you. We always say something interesting here with all these revelations. When does the blackmail start?
GCHQ isn't a spy agency like MI5 or MI6. It's a government agency tasked with collecting and analysing data. And yet these most recent revelations show that their arsenal includes sending viruses and launching denial-of-service attacks against websites.
The attempt to do denial-of-service attacks on organizations they don't like are deliberate attempts to obstruct, to deceive. I think was the phrase they used. They call it deny, disrupt, degrade, and deceive. I mean, it's like a James Bond movie. But this is the stuff they're doing and have been doing for years. But this is the first proof that anybody's had that they've actually done it.
And yet hackers who don't work for GCHQ face prison if they do the same. And those campaigning for civil liberties here in Britain say they want to know why. Polly Boyko, RT, London.
And GCHQ may be playing dirty, but it's still lagging behind its larger partner, America's National Security Agency, when it comes to the scale of its spying operations. An Internet freedom campaigner told us that mass online surveillance is making people increasingly reluctant to speak out.
I don't see anybody advocating for the removal of curtains in everybody's house because we have nothing to hide. I think that there's an expectation of privacy here in the U.S. and around the world that's not being respected. And when that expectation is not respected, free speech suffers. We are much less willing to speak our minds online or offline if we know we're being watched and recorded and tracked. We're much less willing to engage in political activism, to assemble, to organize ourselves for whatever causes we believe in if we feel like the authorities are watching our every move. And even if the authorities right now might not necessarily be antithetical to the things that we believe in, maybe the next president or the next Congress or the next government will be, and they'll be able to use all of this data that they're collecting against us.
Squeaky Dolphin, Airwolf, and Anti-Crisis Girl. The GCHQ slide deck, published in 2012, highlights two tools used to conduct social networking, web monitoring, and profiling. The first, called Squeaky Dolphin, pulls online activities within web traffic caught by the agency's monitoring systems. The monitoring systems are called Airwolf in the slides, which may be a UK code word for the GCHQ's equivalent of XKey score. That data includes webmail, blogs visited, YouTube views, Facebook likes clicked on websites themselves, and other data culled from individual users' captured activity. It runs those activities, captured in real time, through IBM's InfoSphere Streams processing software, to create analytical feeds. Those feeds are then piped into a Splunk database and surfaced through a dashboard view that allows analysts to find trends in sentiment. As an example, the slides showed activity related to cricket matches in London and the surge in Facebook likes for Conservative Member of Parliament Liam Fox. It can also be used to spot trends in traffic that might indicate upcoming events such as protests or other civil unrest. While Squeaky Dolphin tends to look at things with a wider view, Anti-Crisis Girl is a bit more targeted. It can be used to passively monitor specific websites, including traffic to WikiLeaks, as the slides demonstrate. The tool can be tuned to a specific set of internet user signatures or keywords, and it provides analytics of their behavior in real time, capturing search terms or direct web addresses used to get to the sites in question. The final document in the latest disclosure from an NSA internal wiki is entitled Discovery SIGI Anti-Targeting Scenarios and Compliance. Created in 2011, it provides guidance on what is and isn't allowed in performing XKey score queries and using other analytics tools to capture and analyze data. The document explains when it is allowed to query against U.S. electors, people, or systems running within the United States. One of the entries is entitled, Unknowingly Targeting a U.S. Person. I screwed up. The selector had a strong indication of being foreign, but it turned out to be U.S. Now what? An OC&OGC response. With all querying, if you discover it actually is US, then it must be submitted and go in the Office of General Counsel quarterly report. But it is nothing to worry about. Several of the entries on the wiki page relate to monitoring of the Pirate Bay. One question posted asked whether it was okay to backtrace connections to the piratebay.org, even if it hops through US-based proxies. The NSA's Office of General Counsel responded that it was allowed only by use of metadata chaining in compliance with the Department of Defense's Supplemental Procedures Governing Communications Metadata Analysis. SPCMA, that order requires that analysts enter a foreign intelligence (FI) justification for making a query or starting a chain. In other words, analysts cannot just start a query of a post on the Pirate Bay without documenting their cause. Another question posted about the Pirate Bay asked if a password for an account associated with a U.S. person was enough to rule out tracking the source. If a list of .mil passwords were released to the piratebay.org, can we go back into XKey score data using a custom-created fingerprint to search for traffic containing that password in foreign traffic just before the release? The official response was that while a password alone would not normally be considered to a U.S. person, searching for the password data for military accounts would be allowed due to the NSA's support role for the Department of Defense. Such actions would be consistent with the SIGI anti-consensual collection package signed by the Commander of U.S. Cybercom and Director of the NSA, appropriate to both of his hats. Referring to General Keith Alexander's dual role as head of both DoD's cyber operations and the NSA. Ironically, The NSA's privacy regulations do keep it from collecting one type of data, private information published by hackers. In a response to a question on whether it was legal to store data exposed by anonymous or other groups for forensic purposes, the NSA General Counsel said it was only legal to retain .mil information. It was not clear whether it was legal to retain data from other government agencies. We are anonymous. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.